Hi, I'm Kyleott, and this is Happy Cactus, the light social deduction game for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up. Happy Cactus goes on for 20 to 30 minutes and can be enjoyed by anyone who's a fan of family games or prickly plants. In Happy Cactus, players will be playing 3 types of cards. Positive traits, with a plus sign, which say, hey, this makes the cactus a little more huggable. Negative traits, like uncontrollable pyromania, make the cactus much less huggable. And then special cards, which are played face up and have an ability written on them. First, shuffle the traits deck, and then unfold the traits mat to a place where everyone on the table can reach it. Next, take the top 3 cards of the deck and place one in each of the 2 modifier slots, and then one in the bonus slot. Then, just like cactuses kind of come pre-grown, you'll put 2 traits on the bottom of the mat. Then, deal 3 cards to each player and you're ready to play. Oh, you already got yours. Great. To begin your turn, a player takes a card from their hand and lays it onto the bottom of the mat. Then, a player has 2 actions they can play around with. One action is to look at 2 cards from the bottom of the mat, and then flip one face up so everyone can see it. Then, they can look at any of the 3 cards in the modifier slots, or in the bonus slot. Then, they could spend an action to replace the card in either modifier slot, discarding it and putting a card from their hand face down, or they can spend both actions to get rid of the card in the bonus slot and replace it with a card from their hand face down. Play continues around the table going clockwise, and the round is over when each player has taken 2 turns. We've skipped ahead to the end of a round. Once every player has taken 2 turns, they have an important decision to make. They have 4 choices to deal with this cactus. They can either choose to hug that cactus, super hug that cactus, not hug the cactus at all, or flee in terror. Their choice will give them points. So here's how the points work. A player gets 1 point if they chose to hug, and there are more positive symbols than negative symbols on the cactus. A player gets 1 point if they chose not to hug, and there are more negative symbols than there are positive symbols on the cactus. A player gets 2 whole points if they chose to super hug, and there are at least 3 more positive symbols than negative symbols. And if a player chose to flee in terror, they're going to get 2 more points if there are at least 3 more negative symbols than positive symbols. So let's find out what happened with this cactus. Now, after the players have said on the count of 3 what they'd like to do with this cactus, we're going to flip up those traits in the bottom and see what this cactus is like. After being revealed, it looks like we have 3 positive traits and 5 negative traits. So it's looking pretty good for the negative side. But all hope is not lost. We have modifier slots as well. These add the symbols on the bottom to the card that is placed in the modifier slot. In this case, the 1 positive and 1 negative would cancel each other out, and this whole slot is worth 1 positive trait. So now it's 5 negatives to 4 positives. Let's take a look at the negative slot. In a similar way, this negative and this positive cancel each other out. And now we're up to 6 negative points versus 4 positive points. So it looks like the negative side, if you chose not to hug, is going to get some points. But let's see if they're going to get bonus points. Inside this slot is a card. If the corresponding decision would have won, so for example, if hugging a cactus would have given you points, you would have gotten extra points equal to the symbols printed on the card. So if you'd hugged the cactus, you would have gotten 1, 2, and then 3 points instead of the normal 1. Because the negative team winds up winning, this unfortunately is worth absolutely nothing for the positive side. After a round is finished, reset the board and move the starting player. They're now the player to the left of the previous starting player. A game of Happy Cactus is finished once each player has been the starting player once, and the player with the most points at the end of the game wins. That was Happy Cactus. Thank you for your time and consideration, and if you're interested, I can be reached at Kyleottdesign@gmail.com.